Some of it would be X-rated, which I'm not going to discuss here. He shouldn't have been teaching the class.
I agree, but
I represented RCA, Coleman, AT&T, Atari, Samsonite luggage, and I would have these sales managers come in and we would go call on these car companies and some of these major clients. If you deal with good people, good things are going to happen. If you deal with stupid people, stupid things are going to happen.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the second episode of the Blood, Sweat, and Tears podcast. Really quick, what we are, what we're about, is we're a collection of individuals who are committed to becoming the most elite version of ourselves, physically, mentally, financially. And we're going to hit that third one pretty big with our guest today. One of the most charismatic people I've ever met in my entire life. This man has seen and done some great things, and he's very wise in the area of finances. So I had to bring him on the podcast for you guys today, Mr. Steve Turner. How we doing today, boss?
Good, Cash. How are you doing?
Never better.
Good.
Better.
Good. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah, thank you for being here. I know you're a busy man. This dude is out here selling, so tracking you down is like tracking down the president.
Well, if we can help some people in the sales business with some ideas, I'm glad to help.
Well, all right. Let's get right into it. So, first question, keeping it pretty simple. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about us for those of them who don't know you very well?
Okay.
From your childhood to where we are now, kind of your life story, everything in between.
Grew up in Midland, Michigan. Dad started a college, Northwood University. Went to that college. Graduated. Went to work for Tenneco Automotive in Racine, Wisconsin for a year, and I was working at making $12,500 at a sales promotion company inside of Tenneco Automotive, and then I realized how much the salesmen were making that were calling on me. They were making $100,000, so I figured I'm on the wrong side of the desk.
Exactly.
So I packed up all my stuff and got some leads and some help.
Sure.
Moved back into my mom and dad's basement in 1977.
All right.
And started out in the basement on a card table with a Rolodex and a telephone. And I'm sure some people out there don't even know what a Rolodex is at this point. And so I started selling promotional merchandise and stretched it out for a year, having a tough time. And Dow Chemical came to me, and I had a company that was a union garment manufacturer out of Miami. And Dow wanted to buy $1 million worth of quilted vests for a sales program for a bunch of farmers. So that got me going, got all my loans paid off, moved to Detroit,
Sure.
and ended up in Detroit for almost 30 years.
Okay. Pretty decent amount of time right there.
Had a lot of good clients, General Motors, Chrysler, Ford, Dow Chemical, Discover Card. These were all
the big names.
Fortune
man.
500 clients, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So we went from a card table to a fairly significant operation for 30 years. And then when I left it was a downsizing at that point because that business, sales promotion business, was getting less and less. So I sold it to the employees and moved out to Arizona, where I have been coming to since 1978. Fell in love with it. And so I had some businesses out here, going back and forth, and then finally moved out here full-time in 2004.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So side note really quick, I'm always trying to recruit people to come to Arizona. Tell everybody how great it is down here. What's the best part of Arizona?
Listen, I started coming here in 78, and I stayed at the Biltmore.
Come on.
And for a conference, and then we went up to, somebody said, well, let's go to Harold's.
Okay.
And he goes, where's Harold's? He goes, well, it's up in Cave Creek. Well, back then there's no expressway, so it was pack a lunch and go to Harold's and to get up there. And I just fell in love with the place. Been coming back here ever since.
That's awesome, man. That's super cool.
Yeah.
And then, so you might have said this, I don't know if I heard you correctly or not. Did you go to college?
I went to Northwood University, got a business degree, a couple different degrees, banking and finance, business.
Okay, so so were they all majors?
Major and 2 minors.
2 minors? Very nice, okay. So that's a big talking point specifically for me in this podcast is college education then versus now. Would you, knowing what you know now, of course 2020 is the best vision ever, or hindsight is 2020, but knowing what you know now, would you have gone to college again?
I would have at that point, since my dad started the college, and he probably would have killed me if I hadn't have gone.
There you go.
But yeah, it helped. It gave me a basis because I knew I was going to be in sales and marketing from
Sure.
8 years old.
Of course.
So it was just gave me some good fundamentals, some accounting. It also allowed me to expand and get some sales techniques and learn different things that you can do from a marketing standpoint. In this day and age, though, I would say that kids really need to look at trade schools. I think for some kids, trade schools are much more appropriate at this age if they want to be plumbers or truck drivers or whatever. And we all need truck drivers and plumbers and
gotta get the stuff from point A to B, right?
Yep. So in some cases, I think a college education works for some people, but in other ways, I think the trade schools would be better off for others.
It always depends on the person, right?
Absolutely.
And you and I are both specifically in sales roles. So for a salesman or saleswoman specifically, do you recommend college? Or is there a different route that you recommend they take? What's your best advice there?
I recommend a good college. My daughter actually goes to the business school at ASU.
Shout out Peyton.
And but I honestly think that the school where I went, Northwood, which was a 4-year, heavily automotive recruited situation, the training in some of the small directed schools, I think, is better than some of the big schools that keep it more general.
Sure.
And back in some of the other schools, they bring in people from the business world to teach what real business life is.
That's how it should be.
And I think you need to, wherever you go, you need to look and make sure that the people that are going to be teaching have done it before.
That's a good, pretty big point of emphasis right there. I don't know if you saw the first episode I did with Dr. Jeff, my dad.
I did not.
There was a part where I talked about my frustration with business college specifically. Not that there was anything wrong with, I went to Grand Canyon University for a year, went to business school. The professor I had for business was, in my opinion, a terrible business professor because he had never owned a business, had never operated a business.
Right.
And he also said that social media is a terrible way to conduct business.
He shouldn't have been teaching the class.
I agree. But like I said, he's a little bit older, he had some tenure, so I guess I'd keep him around for that. But like you said, it's very important that you find someone who's done what you want to do and you learn from them. So specifically getting a mentor. In your case, were there any mentors in your life who kind of helped you with sales?
I actually had a lot of mentors because what happened is when I would have sales, I represented RCA, Coleman, AT&T, Atari, Samsonite luggage, and I would have these sales managers come in and we would go call on these car companies and some of these major clients, and the first thing I learned was to listen. I learned from the sales managers and all their different ways on how they interact with people.
Sure.
And then try to combine that into my own situation. So I learned a lot from these sales managers from across the country and different things. So those were my mentors in that all those guys wanted me to be successful. That's how I earned a lot of trust and respect there.
Take a snippet out of that. They wanted you to be successful. How important is it to be around people who want the best for you, not because it benefits them, but because it benefits you?
Oh, it's really important. I mean, if you deal with good people, good things are going to happen. If you deal with stupid people, stupid things are going to happen.
Sure.
So the quality of people that you expose yourself to on the highest level will, I think, allow you to absorb as much of that as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
So to make yourself better.
Absolutely. And so rolling back a little bit, the one thing that you said was you learned to listen. That is, whether you realized it at the time or not, that's a biblical concept. It says in the Bible, be slow to speak and quick to listen.
Okay.
I don't know the exact reference, but it's in there somewhere. So I think that's really cool that it's, biblical principles are shining through. And then, like you said, it's extremely important to have mentors to learn from. Just like a parent, parent learns from the kids learn from the parents. It's a mutual connection that kind of way.
Yeah, you learn from listening. You don't learn from talking.
Exactly. So, any advice for the young adults who want to get into your industry or get into not sales specifically, but more of the upper echelon of sales?
When I had my companies, I used to travel the country and received all kinds of awards and accolades and was the highest guy in my field for a long time. And I talked to a lot of people and helped mentor a lot of people.
That's awesome.
Over the years. And the most important thing is, aside from listening, is, and being with quality people, I think is being honest and authentic.
Absolutely.
If you're honest with people, I've had a little trouble in my life trusting too many people.
Sure.
Didn't go with my gut, trusted them, problems, don't do that. Go with your gut. Okay. Trust people to a point, but always verify.
Absolutely. Always do the due diligence, right?
Yep.
What's the saying?
Trust but verify.
Yeah, measure twice, cut once.
Right.
Do that kind of thing.
Very important.
Yeah, no kidding. So taking a little bit of a turn now. So you were saying you were making some decent money. You were traveling the nation, traveling the world, all that kinds of cool stuff. I'm assuming, I'm not going to ask you straight up, but I'm assuming you were making a pretty decent amount of money. Yeah,
it was rolling in pretty good. And one of the stories that I always tell people, and I want you to take away from this, is how you treat people. Like I said, they'll come back. I think that you get treated the same way. So I'm in New York, and I'm just checking out a convention. I had just won a trip to Spain for 10 days from AT&T.
Wow.
So I'm checking out of the hotel.
That's how you know you're important right there.
Checking out of the hotel, and the guy, I'm going to the concierge to give her a tip for helping me out, and the guy in front of me hands her a dozen roses. And I'm like, dude, you're killing me. Now I got to give her more money, and we started talking.
That's
anyway.
Hilarious.
So we started talking, and I had a limo going to JFK to get on a plane, and he was going JFK to go back to the West Coast. Sure. I said, well, just hop in with me. And we started talking, and he was the sales manager for a company called Liberty Mint in Provo, Utah.
Okay.
And they make silver medallions, gold medallions, all precious metal stuff.
Wow.
And I was trying to put a program together for Chrysler. Lee Iacocca had come over from Ford.
Yeah. Okay.
And so he had come up with what was called the Consumer Bill of Rights. That was his big thing. And he had 10 things listed for what consumers deserve.
Sure.
So they wanted to try come up with a test drive program at that time. So I was talking to the guy from Provo, and I said, well, what if we use a silver precious metals medallion in a box that says, something about Iacocca's Bill of Rights or something like that. And back then, silver was only like $2.50. What is it, $30 now or something?
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. Yeah.
So back, that was in early 80s, mid 80s, and it was before cell phones, because I couldn't talk to my office on the way to the airport. I had to call from a payphone when I got to the airport.
Drop the quarters in.
Yeah.
There you go.
So anyway, we came up with this concept about a test drive program using a pure silver medallion. So I get to the airport. He's on one phone here. I'm on one phone here. He's talking to his office. I'm talking to my office. We're talking to each other. And in about 20 minutes, we put this whole thing together, and boom, I go off to Spain.
Wow.
So I get back from Spain, 10 days later, get to my office. He's got all the samples that we discussed, all the artwork, everything that I had could make my presentation at Chrysler.
Sure.
Went in and sold the deal.
Wow.
So we ended up going through 480,000 silver medallions in one of the most successful test drive programs they had. And it all started from being nice.
That ought to teach you guys a lesson.
So you guys understand that it's easier to be nice because you never know where your next deal's coming from. If you're in a sales and marketing situation, be nice, be helpful, and you never know where it's going to take you. But that is a really good example of knowing your business, knowing other people, thinking fast, and putting something together, and lo and behold, you get something that's fairly successful.
And you did something that really ticks me off. You eliminated all the excuses because, like you said, you did it with no phones, had to use the pay phone. You had like 20 minutes to set it all up in the airport. We're all connected through iPhones and social media now, and we can't get things done. And this gentleman's doing it over pay phones, dropping quarters in the phone.
Yeah, I wish you could have seen us stand looking at each other, each talking to our offices, and it was
all like the side by side.
Yeah, I guess it was like a primitive conference call.
There you go.
So
that's awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah, that was a good story.
So, a lesson on business right there. Another thing too is when you have the money rolling in, a lot of people, they win the lottery, they get their dream job, whatever. The money comes in, and then you see them a couple years later, they're bankrupt. So when you get the money, what is your best advice on not only how to get it, but how to keep it?
Be conservative, protect your principal. Mm-hmm. Every now and then, if you're a gambler, you take a flyer, you put a little, but you always protect the principal.
Of course.
So you accumulate your principal. If I had, Merrill Lynch and all these people, I don't necessarily go that way. I think your best bet is just putting stuff in a S&P 500 fund, let it go, because everybody just rides on that. And if I had to do over with, I'd probably do that.
That's what you would do over
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That was actually my next question. So as far as investing, do you do stocks, like you said, as like a Roth IRA, S&Ps?
Yeah, we did the Roth and the IRAs, but I was always a deal guy.
Sure.
I was always in small deals, medium-sized deals.
Sure.
I put my money into where my talent and passion could make something happen and move a needle. So I wasn't a big stock guy. I was more of a deal guy.
Sure. Making things happen, actually seeing, touching, feeling the money.
Right.
Of course, I got you. I'm pretty similar. I don't do a whole lot of investing because I was like, I want to see where the money's going. I want to, you get a sense of pride when you earn it yourself, right?
Well, before you start investing, have a savings account.
Of course.
Yeah. Get some money in your pocket and protect your principal, and keep doing what you're doing best to bring money in. You'll become richer and more successful by working hard than trying to kill it in the market.
That's pretty sound advice right there. It's a lot of pretty good wisdom for us young guys too. And so, sorry, go ahead.
No, it'll be easier for you too, because you're not trying to outguess things. You're just working hard. Focus. Don't get too spread out doing too many things. Do one or two things really, really well, instead of a whole bunch of things mediocre, and you're going to move the needle more for yourself and for other people.
It's like they say, if you're the jack of all trades, you're the master of none.
Bingo.
So be the master of one or two, and that's it.
It's a better way to say that. You're right.
I like it. Okay. So another on the same lines of you're making the money, it's coming in, you're trying to keep it, trying to invest it, use it wisely, things like that. I've heard a lot of stories from mentors and from friends and family and all that of people who, once they start making the money, the people who work close to them kind of treat them weird, and you have to kind of push them away. Was that the case for you at all?
No, I guess I really don't understand why that would be, because if you surround yourself with good people, those people are going to be happy for you, and you're going to be happy for them.
That's what I would think, yeah.
So I think if you're dealing with jealous people are going to get jealous. If you're dealing with thieves, you're going to get ripped off. You're dealing with liars, you're going to get lied to. So surround yourself with quality product, quality people, and support each other, and that's how you really bring you, your family, and your friends up to a higher level.
Amen. Look at that. So on that note, did you have a close circle of friends, or like your inner circle per se, of guys that you could go to for advice? If you were struggling, you could go to these guys. Did you have anything like that?
Absolutely.
Support system?
Absolutely. Yeah. I surrounded myself with, we repped 35 different companies, so I had 35 different sales managers, and all of those were really good friends of mine. And so I always had somebody that I could bounce ideas off of, thoughts. They'd tell me if I was an idiot or if there was a good idea. But yeah, I think, again, surrounding yourself with people that can make your life better is a huge deal.
Absolutely. And just hearing things like that, I think you're the perfect example of the phrase, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, get a team. I don't know if that's exactly how you say it, but like when you first started, you were alone, you were moving quick, getting things moving quick. Then you start to get all these sales managers, all these people, so you had to go out and find a team of guys that you could, like you say, bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, when you get to a level where you're doing multi-million-dollar deals, you have to have a team. You can't do it on your own, and you have to have quality people to help you get through that. So, one bad apple can cause a problem in the basket, so you've got to try to keep quality people around you and deal with people that can lift you up as well as you lift them up and support them at the same time.
Absolutely. So when you're making these multi-million-dollar deals, I've heard one of two things from just stories that I've heard from other people. One is they don't have any stress or pressure from that. They say making $1 million deal is the same as making $100 deal. You put in the same amount of effort. You're just have more experience, better opportunities, so you end up making more money. And I've heard the other end of it, which is people get extremely stressed out because they don't want to blow the deal. They don't want to blow everything they've been working hard for.
Right.
What was your perspective on that? Were you more not stressed out because this is what you do, or was there a little bit of pressure for you?
Well, let's talk about, I was a realtor for a long time, selling a house. A realtor puts the same effort into selling a $400,000 house as a $4 million house.
Sure.
It's just about the numbers. Now, you're more anxious about selling the $4 million house because your commission is much better.
Sure.
But the work you put in it is almost about the same. So once you realize it's about the good work you put in, you try to get as much out of it as you can at the end. But yeah, when you're talking big numbers, I mean, there's pressure.
A little bit of pressure there.
Yeah, when you're talking about, sticking $200,000-$300,000 in your pocket compared to 25, you want
difference.
You want that 300.
Absolutely.
Pressure, anxiety.
And I'm getting the feeling too that you weren't the guy that was like, I hate this term, but high pressure sales closing these guys, because you were, like you were saying earlier, you're being nice, you're cultivating a relationship. So like you're working harder, you're a little bit more anxious, there's a little bit more pressure, but that's not causing you to be a bad person.
I would agree. I don't, you've got Fuller Brushmen that go to the door and try to sell stuff door to door. That's not, I've always been a relationship guy.
Sure.
I think if you build the relationships, people trust you, about trust. I also think that I've always approached it that I'm not really a salesman, I'm really a problem solver.
There you go, I like
You've
that.
got a problem, you need to build a pool, you need a pool?
Hey,
You can't build a pool, I can build a pool for you.
There you go.
So you solve problems for people.
Absolutely.
Just like the test drive program at Chrysler.
Just solving problems.
Solving problems.
Love that. That's awesome. So don't call yourself a salesman. I know there's a little bit of a negative connotation around that. You're a problem solver, a relationship cultivator, things like that. Change up the vocabulary a little bit.
Yeah, and perceive yourself as that. Don't just talk the talk, but walk the walk.
Of course, yeah. You got to be about it. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Right. Yeah.
So something that I was talking with my dad about on the last podcast was one of his biggest tips, not only for salesmen, but just for anybody in business, was don't work smarter, don't work harder and smarter. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you're gonna take out from your efforts what you put into your efforts.
Amen.
I think working smarter is really important, particularly in this day and age with all the digital things and the people that back in my day, I would call on people, 4 or 5 people a day. You don't do that now with all the digital stuff. It's phone calls and all the stuff you guys do.
Sure.
I'm old school. So
That's all right.
I still think old school works with the right people, not so much with the young kids because they don't really have relationships anymore. They're doing this but I think for the bigger, more important deals, if you have a relationship, it's easier to get the deal done because people trust you.
Amen. I like that a lot. Very nice. So would you say, my next question was going to be, what's your biggest tip just for people in business in general, would that be your biggest tip? Cultivate or focus more on cultivating relationships and
build your network. Build a quality network. Yep. Get people that are, back in the day, I'm talking to vice presidents of General Motors and Chrysler, and I was at a very high level, and it's fun to do that at that level because then you get used to doing it at that level, and then you don't get intimidated,
right? Because
you're at that level doing work and services for those people that actually trust you and like you.
I like that a lot. How important is it for you? I don't know how to word this properly, but there's the guys who will walk into the meeting with the big guys and then they'll treat them like family. Then they'll walk out and see the janitor and treat them like crap. How important is it for you to treat everybody like they're the CEO?
Well, when I was hiring people or working with people, one of my benchmarks was how people treated waitresses and waiters at restaurants. And that is typically what you're talking about.
Right.
You got to treat everybody like you would want to be treated. And anybody that would do that in that level and then treat somebody that way, I wanted nothing to do with.
Right.
Not quality people.
It's like one of our mentors that we work with, Andy Elliott. He has a 3-stage hiring process. He says you interview him, and then you interview with his wife, and then if you pass those two, you interview with the team. So they say if the team doesn't like you, if they don't see that you're treating the team properly, they won't hire you.
No, I go along with that, yeah.
Awesome. So last couple of questions for you before we wrap up here. How important is it for you going forward in whatever industry you're in to learn from past mistakes and apply what you've learned to future lessons?
Oh, it's hugely important, particularly at a young age. A lot of the kids growing up now, they always get trophies for participating. We never did, man. You either won or you lost. So that's why I think people in sports get it faster because they're winners and losers in that.
Right. Absolutely.
And in this, when you get out of college, from what I'm hearing now, just because these kids get out of college now, they get out of college and they should be running a company. Well, it doesn't work that way.
No, sir.
You got to get out here. You got to earn your stripes. And if you earn your stripes and hook your wagon to the right truck, the right people, quality people, and bring yourself up in that particular industry, you got to remember there's 60% of the people out there are not working in the fields that they went to school for. So you've got to flush that out, and you've got to find your niche.
Right.
You got to find a good quality niche where you have some talent. Hopefully you have a little passion to wanting to do that particular job or event. But you've got to trust yourself, be honest with yourself, and surround yourself by good quality people.
Absolutely. And then one of our mentors, a different one that we work with, he says, there's a difference between talent and passion. Find your talent, work in your talent, and then find a way to introduce your passion to that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Your
talent's gonna build your wealth base.
Absolutely.
Your passion has got plenty of time to have your passion, but build your base, build your wealth, and take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Take care of friends. I mean, you got friends and family. I mean, really, that's what it all comes down to. I don't care if you're listening to this and you're 30 years old, but I'm going to tell you, when you get to be 70-year-old like I am, friends and family is really the crux of the deal.
Sure, absolutely, because that's who's going to be with you through it all.
Right,
correct?
right.
Like I was having somebody really close to me tell me, they're like, Cash, getting money's great, but having millions and millions of dollars is not going to stop you mid-heart attack. Or it's not going to take you to the hospital when you get sick. Your friends and your family are going to do that.
Take care of your health. Take care of yourself. You're right.
Amen. Your health is your wealth.
Because you die, you're not even taking the T-shirt you wear with you.
That's right. You're not taking nothing with you.
So you got to take care of yourself. You want to be around for your friends and family as long as you can.
And then, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
70.
70?
Just turned 70. I know I look a lot younger.
I was about to call you out. I was going to say there's absolutely no way at all. Hold on, I'm going to read.
I'm calling 70 the new 55.
Turn this back on real quick. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
70 is the new 55, especially when you look younger than 55 and you are 70.
So much of it is here,
Of
but
course.
the time, everything wears on you. Everybody's got issues. And be kind to people. I mean, people that you don't even know are having problems, like the guy that cuts you off on the street. Who knows what kind of day he's having?
Right.
Give him a break. Then if he turns in, to an idiot, address it then. But always try to be kind and understanding.
That's a lesson they teach you when you're learning a mixed martial art, whatever it is you learn how to become super dangerous physically, but they also teach you how to control it. Because somebody might be drunk at a bar and their wife just left them and they're taking their anger out on you. You don't need to piece that guy up or put him in the hospital because he's having a bad day. You just need to learn how to relax the situation. If he does attack you, learn how to defend yourself properly without hurting him too much.
Yeah.
If he comes at you and you give him a black eye, it's not the end of the world. He'll learn his lesson, things like that.
Well, you obviously have to protect yourself, but at the same time, just be kind.
Of course. And so the reason why I was asking how old you are is because on every episode, what I want to do is ask one question 3 different ways. If you had to go to your 20-year-old self and give him some advice, to your 35-year-old self and give him some advice, and to your 50-year-old self and give him advice, what would those 3 pieces of advice be?
Well, some of it would be X-rated, which I'm not going to discuss here. So I was pretty good at being focused and working with people in my 20s. Started out pretty young, and I'd already been selling stuff. I would go to Florida in college and buy a bunch of Ecuadorian shirts for $12, and I'd come back and sell them at school for $25 to pay for my vacation.
That's hustle right there.
So everybody had a hustle.
That's right.
So. At 35, I would have told myself to slow down a little bit because I was going pretty quick.
Okay.
But it worked out because a lot of good things happened.
Good, okay.
At 50, I would have told myself, enjoy things a little more and start focusing more on family than business.
Okay.
Yeah.
So find a little bit, I know it's the work-life balance really doesn't exist, but trying to find a way to introduce it a little bit better.
Yeah, I didn't get married till I was 44, and I have 2 kids. I had Peyton when I was 49, and I had Carly when I was 46, and they're 21 and 24 now. So a little late in life, but I thoroughly enjoyed having been successful and having paid my dues and spending more time with the kids on all their events and things. That was fun for me, and I wish I could go back and do more of that.
Right. And it's like to keep bringing up mentors that we work with. One of them said, if you miss your daughter's 2nd birthday because you're working trying to build up wealth for your family, she won't remember. But she will remember missing your 16th birthday or your 18th birthday or your 21st birthday.
Ooh, how true.
So finding that balance is tricky, but like you said, they're not going to remember that 1st, 2nd, 3rd-year-old birthday.
Well, they're going to remember if they're 6 years old and you don't show up at their ice skating event. Let me tell you. So that's what's really truly important, because that's when their formative years start. And I learned a lot of things when I was a kid around the dining room table. Back then in the 50s and 60s, we used to all have dinner together.
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't happen as much anymore. So I'd listen to my dad's day and my mom's day, and I'd learn things, particularly in the sales sense, from my dad, who was really good at sales and speeches. And so that was growing up, that was good for me.
That's awesome. Really quick, did you do a lot of public speaking?
I did more speaking to, if public speaking is to sales groups and conventions.
Groups of 20 or more.
Yeah, I would do that from time to time. A lot of it was more almost mentor stuff in small group.
Sure, okay.
6, 8, 10 people.
And that was the last question I was going to leave you with, is when you're speaking to groups of people, whether it's large groups, small groups, mentorships, things like that, how important is it to have an ability to communicate ideas properly, to teach properly, to make sure that the person you're talking to gets what you're saying and can apply what you're saying?
The whole world comes down to communication. I mean, look what's going on in the world these days with, Israel's not talking to this and Iran's. It's all communication. And when you get into the situation that you're talking about, whether it's life situations with your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, or your business, if you can't have proper communications and have that back and forth flow, it's just not going to work out as well.
Right.
So if you can have the communications, an open flow of communications with people, I think it's highly more likely that your outcome will be positive, with everybody understanding where everybody stands and coming up to a mutual conclusion.
Sure. Well, you dropped a lot of wisdom for us today. Steve, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, me
I'm glad
too.
you were able to,
Me too.
take a break from your day to be here, because I know you got a lot of things going on. So I do highly appreciate
Yeah,
it.
this was a good break, and I hope that your audience understands and has obtained a little bit of knowledge that they can use in their own situations to move their life factors forward. And that's what I try to do now, is just try to help people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing things like that. So the last thing, I'm going to keep it super easy for you. The name of this podcast is Blood, Sweat, and Tears, because I believe that's what it costs in order for someone to be the best version of themselves. When you hear the term blood, sweat, and tears, what do you think of?
Blood, sweat, and tears. It goes back, what I think of is all the times when you're by yourself, you're grinding away, trying to figure out how to do the deal, trying to figure out how to get other people to help you. Blood, sweat, working hard. Tears can either be bad or good.
I like that.
So hopefully you have good tears. And if you have success in your business and make a lot of money, I hope you have good tears.
Me too. That's awesome. I never thought about tears as being a positive thing too, but there are tears of joy. So
Yep.
I like that perspective. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening today. As I said in the last video, best way to support the channel, I'm wearing a Bucked Up shirt. Go to buckedup.com. Use code CashMoney20 to save 20% on any of your health journey needs. We got supplements, we got merch, we got all the stuff you'll ever need for your fitness journey. We're going to be releasing some merch soon, so go pick some up when it drops. Like I said, we're balling with the budget on this podcast. I'd love to upgrade the quality for you guys. It's not just for me, it's for you. So thank you for tuning in. Go support the channel when you can. Like and subscribe. Steve, how can they show you some love?
Support your podcast so you can have more people on, so you can learn more stuff, and that'll help everybody out.
I love that. Awesome. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video. Thank you for tuning in.